So today we will be discussing and talking and going deeper into silence. And I remember an old Zen saying. It says, all description of silence, all talk about silence is just noise. And so I thought maybe because we are all such a good meditative group, maybe we can just be in silence for an hour today. And I might not talk. What do you say? No? Colin is saying, no. We need to hear you. 1 hour of silence, that's like too much. When I was seeking on the foothills of Himalayas, someone told me you need to meet this great awakened master. And his name was Mauni Baba. So Mauni in Hindi means someone who is silent. And this person had been silent for around 45 years. So I'm just talking about 1 hour, 60 minutes. He was silent for 45 years. And so I was very intrigued and I was seeking awakened teachers. So I went to meet him. He was staying quite far away from the town. So almost it was kind of on the edge of the forest. Very simple place. So I went inside the room. I still remember. I went in the room. Simple room. He was sitting on a cot. He was quite old, 75 approximately. And I still remember the moment I entered that room. I could perceive that silence flowing out of the walls, flowing out of the body which was in front of me. So I saw him, I bowed down to him. And he looked at me, he smiled, our eyes met. And then I just sat down. And since he's been in silence for so many years, there was no opportunity to have a conversation. But the stillness, the silence, didn't need any words for expression. And I think I sat there for an hour and a half, completely absorbed in that silence. And he was just sitting in the cot and he laid down, then he sat back again. And after an hour and a half, I had one question, so I wanted to ask him. So I asked him, how do I get awakened? How do I find liberation? How do I find this enlightenment? So he had a slate, he had a small slate and a chalk because he doesn't speak, obviously. So he took the chalk and the slate and he wrote down on that. The gist of those few words were that you need to find the source of this I. You need to be with this consciousness, which is the source of this I. And when I went back home after that encounter, meeting, for the next around 8 to 10 days, I was completely engulfed in that stillness without any effort. It was completely effortless. It was as if some magical thing has touched me. And during those times, I used to be just sitting down for a couple of hours, completely absorbed in myself. And then I went to him quite a few times because whenever I went to him, I could feel that silence. We used to just sit in silence. There was no conversation. But even that silence gave me so much that maybe words couldn't. And what is the silence we are talking about today? If we look inwards, the mind is constantly on the run, seeking, searching, wanting. It's scared of losing its loved ones. It needs security. It needs money, job, house, mortgage, partners, children. And it's forever looking forward to new excitements, sensory fulfillment, desires. And amongst all this clutter, all this noise, all this seeking and wanting, there is no scope for this silence to come into being. There's no scope for this stillness to emerge. And this silence, this stillness, is very essential for spiritual growth. Not only for spiritual growth, when you reach the final awakening, when you reach there, you will see there is just this stillness and silence. And all the words, all this noise happens on the background of the stillness and silence. So silence and stillness is always there, ever present. Even if there is loud music going on or there is all kind of noise and clatter, that stillness is the background on which this happens. So I'll read you some nice one or two quotes by Ramana Maharishi and J. Krishnamurti on silence. And when I read these quotes, we'll just take a few moments to just be quiet and just try to go beyond the words or go towards the state these words are pointing to. So after every quote, I'll be silent for a few moments for you to absorb the quote and just to feel that inner stillness and silence. So this is by J. Krishnamurti. It is only that quality of stillness, that absolute silence of the mind, that can see that which is eternal, timeless, nameless. So it is only that quality of stillness, that absolute silence of the mind, that can see that which is eternal, timeless, nameless. There is a state when words cease and silence prevails. That state transcends speech and thoughts. So this is a quote by Ramana Maharishi. There is a state when words cease and silence prevails. That state transcends speech and thought. That which is silence. How can silence be explained inwards. So that which is silence. How can silence be explained in words? Silence does not mean negation of activity or inertness. It is not a mere negation of thoughts, but something much more deeper and incredible than you can imagine. So, this is again by Ramana Maharishi. Silence does not mean negation of activity. It is not a mere negation of thoughts, but something more incredible and deep than you can imagine. And for those who know Ramana Maharishi, he was an awakened teacher and he spent many, 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 many years in silence. In fact, when disciples used to come and sit in front of him, most of the time there used to be silence. There used to be very few conversations which used to happen. And ever since I heard about Ramana Maharishi, I wanted to go and be where he was. His ashram was in South India, or is in South India. And there is a cave there on the mountain, which is called Virupaksha Cave, where he used to live for many years and he used to be meditating there. And during my spiritual practice, I used to go to that cave a lot. So whenever I was in Ramanashram, I used to go to that cave and generally sit there for 4 to 5 hours. It was completely silent. No one used to come. There was no disturbance at all. So as to go by 11 o'clock, I used to sit completely lost in that silence and stillness. And around 3 or 4 o'clock, I used to suddenly feel this hunger because I haven't had my lunch. And my stomach used to growl and I used to feel thirsty and I used to like, okay, now it's time to get up and go down and feed my body. If I didn't have this hunger pangs or thirst, maybe I would have sat for more longer period of time. And that place is incredible. Similar to Mauni Baba, that place also has that presence, that silence, that stillness. And once I awakened to reality, I understood that this stillness is ever present. It is not just Ramanashram where I can contact it, or in the presence of sages, or when I go to the forest, or when I go to the mountains, or to a quiet place. That stillness and silence is accessible here and now. But to access it, you need to pay attention to this consciousness within.